All right, full disclosure. When we set out to do this next story, we knew it had already been done by a pretty good and memorable member of KTVB staff, John Miller. And usually when that happens, we go diving into the archives and we try to bring you a 208 redial, usually with an update to bring it some sort of relevancy. And normally that means heading into the basement and pulling a tape off the shelf. And we did that. However, this story, the original, was done so long ago, it's on a tape that is, well, rather irrelevant. You see, kids, this is a 3/4 inch tape. See how thick that is? Technology that was last used in the 1990s, and we no longer have a tape deck to play this thing. But the good thing about what we're about to show you is, even though the faces have changed, the story really hasn't. It's been the same for nearly 7 decades, much like the subject of this story, standing sentry as a singular parking protector. We're heading out to Murphy for today's Get to Know Idaho. Alongside State Highway 75, in the shadow of the Owyhee Mountains, sits the not-so-sizable town of Murphy. At one time, considered by some to be the smallest county seat in the country, just 4 square miles. There's not too much to Murphy. You won't find a gas station, or a grocery store, a place to eat, or a sidewalk.
There's not a traffic light either.
But there's an airstrip, and a museum, a post office, and a courthouse, where out front, you'll find a parking meter.
And it's Owyhee County's only parking meter.
A distinction this duration determiner has had for decades.
Oh yes, it has.
Marcy Peterson
I'm the recorder.
has had her eye on it for 15 years.
Can you see it through the window there?
How often do people park in front of that thing?
Oh, hardly ever. I mean, there's plenty of places to park, right?
Right. Which is why one would also ask, in a place with all this space, there's metered parking in Murphy? Why?
Why not? Good question.
I always assumed it was a joke.
Oh, yes, yeah. It's
Nick Eiley knows
folklore, I guess you'd call it.
it's a story that predates his appointment as county clerk.
Yes, that happened 1956.
And apparently, the parking meter was put in by his predecessor, Kenneth Downing, in 1953.
Supposedly, he put it up so that he'd always have a place to park.
So, in a town of little more than 24 people at that time, parking was really at a premium?
Well, just one of those things.
No, there's got to be more things. More to this story.
Well, back in the 50s, there used to be a gate right here.
Yes, ask the guy who knows Owyhee history.
And this is one piece of history right here.
Eric Scarsvo says the biography of this coin box goes back to when the county seat was moved from Silver City to Murphy in 1934. 2 years later, they built the courthouse. But they wanted more than just a bland building.
And they put the lawn in probably in the late 30s, early 40s here. It probably was the only lawn in Murphy for a while.
And back then, Murphy was in the middle of open-range cattle grazing, which would make a patch of green grass a pretty good spot to hang out for a cow.
And then with the grazing came other things, and the groundskeeper says, well, I'm done with that. So
to fix that problem,
they put in a chain link fence. And this fence, it's still here.
that kept the cows out, but also the people.
So to let the people in, we'll put a gate right in front of the path, right in front of that front door. We'll put a nice gate there.
Seems like an easily solved problem.
Pretty much, until someone parks in front of your gate, and you couldn't get into the courthouse then.
Another problem. But the plan could be salvaged.
And the parking meter, I heard, came out of the Nampa dump. They went up there and they found it sitting there, and they brought it down and stuck it right here.
And after all these years,
And look how much it is, 10 pennies or 2 nickels.
it's probably pulled in a pretty penny or two for the county.
That's a really good deal for parking out here, yeah.
I wonder how much money...
None.
What?
Never did work very good, no.
I think I heard one time they pulled maybe $10 out of it.
People came there and they'll try to put money in it, but it never did work.
So here sits a plugged parking meter.
That's where the clerk parks.
But you don't.
No, I don't.
Where people never park.
No, never. And I certainly wouldn't put any money in it.
In a place where parking isn't really a premium.
It's probably more of a conversation piece than a deterrent, I would guess. Yeah.
And that's perfectly appropriate.
It's become part of the Owyhee County history, yeah.
Well, I guess they were famous for something.
the parking meter was pilfered once back in 2001. And yes, John Miller did a story on that too. And yes, they were devastated their main attraction was abducted. However, they never found it, and they never found out who did it. They just replaced it with the one you see there now. And while we were there, Eric Scarsville, the director of the Owyhee County Historical Museum that you just met, he took it down to see if he could get it working again. And he told me today he's close. So if you do plan on heading to Murphy and you plan on parking right in front of the courthouse, you might want to put some pennies in your pocket and prepare to feed the only parking meter in Owyhee County.